Nothing makes sense anymore. At first I thought River Song might be the crazy lady with the eye patch because of the prequel, but then we found out that she wasn't, and then we see Amy with an eye patch at first, and we think, oh my god, what if she's evil too? And now I have an owl for a hand, and it's time to start the episode. Hello everyone, I'm Papa Kenn, and welcome to episode 69 of Discovering Doctor Who. Yes, it is the final episode of season 6, and it is the Wedding of River Song. And yeah, I will admit, the prequel kind of threw me for a bit of a loop there. Didn't know exactly what was going on, and then all of a sudden to see River Song with the eye patch on, which we find out isn't an eye patch, but I'll kind of sort of get to that later. But yeah, let's get right into things with my favorite parts of this episode, starting with... what is even going on? I mean, okay, that's basically what I was thinking when this episode started out, with pterodactyls and all this stuff going on. Winston Churchill is emperor, and it was just weird and really, really confusing, but at the same time also kind of really cool. I mean, visually, it was just awesome. Like, it just seemed like this kind of alternate world that I would admittedly love to live in. I mean, for crying out loud, pterodactyls at the park. Make sure you don't feed them off, obviously. But I don't know, that just seemed really, really cool. But moving on though, my second favorite part of this episode, and this might sound strange considering what I said about it before, but the Doctor's Moses-esque beard. Up close, it still looked really stupid. But I have to say, like, sort of from a distance, it suited him. Now, once you see up close and just see how thin and wiry his beard is, it doesn't work for the guy. But from a distance, I have to say, it's like, you know, the beard actually did kind of work. So, I'll give him that. I know that might seem strange to point that out as a favorite part of the episode, but it was. Alright, moving on, my third favorite part of this episode, the return of the marks, and obviously the silence, but just, I almost missed it, but when you see the inside of the Doctor's arm and there's that one mark, I was just like, like I said, I almost missed it, but then I was just like, oh, there's silence somewhere, oh my god, and then we see more and more. And even I was thinking, it's like, okay, well, they're only seeing a few, so that's good. And then we see his other arm, and it's completely covered. Ah! I just really enjoyed seeing that. And I didn't expect it to make a comeback. I guess I kind of should have, since, you know, it's the return of the silence, and we hadn't really seen them in a while. But I have to say, it was really cool to see those marks again, even though they were kind of short-lived. Moving on, my fourth favorite part of this episode, and as much as I ragged on this character earlier in the season, Dorian Maldivar. As just a head, I don't know, just the way they wrote him in this episode, he wasn't so much annoying and useless, he was just funny. I honestly enjoyed him in this episode. Now, obviously, he didn't play a huge part, but I don't know, I just really enjoyed the way that they wrote him into the story, the way he was employed, the Wi-Fi jokes, I honestly thought were pretty funny. And then, like, he thought something was pressing up on him, and in fact, he was just laying on the back of his own head. I really, really liked that. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Moving on, my fifth favorite part of this episode was Amy and Rory. Now, obviously, most of what we actually get to see of them is in their alternate universe, or basically altered timeline selves. And there was just a lot to really enjoy, how they both kind of knew that they were meant to be together, but Amy can't even remember Rory's first name, or she doesn't know his first name. And then, you know, Rory's pining after her, but he has no idea that in the original timeline they were married. I don't know, just all of that was just awesome. And Amy was just, I mean, to not even put it to put it lightly, a ruthless badass in this episode. And I'll explain that a little bit more coming up. But yeah, that was just, I really liked her there. Both of them, really. And then obviously when we get the little flash forward, I guess it was, when, well, Amy thinks that the doctor's dead, and then River visits them, and then, you know, we get the whole little happy moment with the family. And of course, Amy realizing that she's the mother-in-law and the look on her face, that was classic. But, alright, moving on. My sixth favorite part of this episode was River. I do have some issues with the way River has been, I guess, characterized throughout the entirety of this season, but I'm going to talk about that when I do the season recap. As for the character herself, I found it to be really fun, really interesting, and just a crazy thing to see, because I don't even know how to explain it. Like, somehow River is able to override the suit and save the Doctor, which ends up in the sort of the destruction of time. And, you know, obviously we get that little teaser, the prequel, that makes us think that she might be the crazy lady with the eye patch. Thankfully, very misleading. And I don't know. As far as her being one of my favorite parts of the episode, it's hard for me to explain, because I feel honestly kind of scatterbrained right now. But just overall, I really enjoyed her in this episode, and just seeing her go from being, you know, seemingly powerless to basically coming together with the Doctor to save the world, and just basically sort of starting their romance from somewhere near the end. I don't know. I know I sound like I'm babbling, but yeah, I just really enjoyed her in this episode overall. It was great getting to see more of the story just sort of come into full form, even if its full form does kind of bother me, which again I'll touch on in the Season 6 wrap-up. Now, my seventh and final favorite part of this episode was the Tesselecta, the human body, or the human-like ship that the little tiny people control from the inside, and the way that the Doctor was able to get around his death. That just was brilliant to me. Honestly, it was. It was he managed to change his own timeline while the timeline technically remained consistent. So in a form, history went forward as it was supposed to. Like, the Doctor was killed. Or at least as far as people could see, the physical image of the Doctor. While the Doctor was inside, perfectly safe, and he says he kind of barely got singed in in the fire when they put him out for burial. But yeah, I just like, as far as how this episode was wrapped up, I can see how people would not really like that solution, but I honestly did. And I'm not gonna lie, even though I didn't voice it, I kind of guessed what was going to happen quite a while back. I thought there were two possibilities, and this was the second one. And just the fact that, like, it honestly threw me off. Partway into the episode, I thought that, okay, well, maybe I was just entirely wrong, so I didn't know it was going to happen. But then when that was revealed, I was just like, oh, I kind of knew it. But yeah, overall, at least for me, I thought the Tesselecta and the way it worked into the story and the resolution of this season worked out pretty good. Now, time to get into my annoyances of the episode. The first of which is to revisit the first favorite. What is even going on? And this is okay, even though I really liked the whole concept of everything being screwed up and all the times happening at the same time, how is it that just the Doctor not dying somehow pulls everything from the past, the future, present, all into one specific spot? Yeah, I understand that it's a fixed point in time and you're not supposed to change those, but how do we go from, like, in the first season where, you know, changing what I assume was a fixed point in time where these, you know, bat creatures come out and eliminate everything that's not supposed to belong, to, oh my god, everything is just converging in on the same time and time doesn't move forward and it's never the next day, even though technically it is. It just, that actually hurts my head trying to conceive of. If someone can explain it a little bit better, please do. But just the way all of that worked makes no sense. And even the way they explained it in the episode really doesn't make any sense. It's like, you know, when I was watching, I just rolled with it, I went along, it was fine. But once you take time to think about it, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Again, that's from my perspective at least. Now, my second annoyance with this episode, and it's the final annoyance with the episode, the question. It seems like, you know, this big, you know, what's his name, the blue guy, Dorian Moldavar, he talks about, it's like, you know, the question which must never be asked, and therefore never answered, and all this, and it just builds up to this final moment right at the end, and it's Doctor Who? Okay, first, that is a pretty clever fourth wall break there, because especially since the Doctor turns around and I can't remember if he winks or not, but he basically just looks right at the camera. It's such a fourth wall break there. And it just, I don't know, I feel like it could have either been executed better or something. I don't even know how it could have been done better, to be completely honest, but it was stupid. It was like, the question which must never be asked. Doctor Who? Doctor Who? And they're trying to make it out to be this big dramatic moment, but it's not. It was making me laugh because of how ridiculous it was, and always will be. Yeah, I don't know. Just like that was such a stupid way to end the episode. The episode had been going great, especially the ending, and then all of a sudden, Doctor Who? Really? Really? Anyway. But yeah, those were my main annoyances. Just that the episode was, especially in the beginning, just the whole logic behind why everything was together. And then the question. But moving on from there, it's time to get into my song of the episode. Or I'm sorry, it's been renamed to track of the episode. And there might be one moment from the episode that some of you might be questioning, well, why wasn't it in my favorites? Well, it's because it has to do with my track of the episode. And the track is Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. And it just an amazing piece, absolutely amazing. I replayed it several times while I was listening to the tracks for this episode. And I just thought it was a very nice, homage to the man who played Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. It's like, even though I've only gotten to see him for, I think he was in 2 episodes that I've seen, 2 or maybe 3. And like, apparently he had passed away around the time of the filming of that episode. And I just thought it was a really nice, sweet homage. And the music to accompany that moment was just absolutely beautiful. It's like it was perfect for the moment, really. There was some good music for this episode, admittedly, but that one just stood out the most and was just a really very nice moment in the episode. Now, moving on from there, it's time for my quote of the episode, and I don't know, I don't think you all will see this one coming, because there were, you know, as with most of the finales, quite a few quotable lines. And this one, the quote of the episode for me comes from Amy, and it's when they're starting to run away, and Madame Kavarian, whatever her name is, Kavarian, is being basically left for dead. And she asks Amy to help her. And Madame Kavarian says that, you know, your doctor would be so disappointed. You know, it's like, you won't do it because the doctor would be disappointed in you. There's something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. And Amy says, the doctor's very precious to me. You're right. But you know what else he is, Madame Kavarian? Not here. River Song did get it all from you, sweetie. Oh, and me reading that gives it no justice. Just the look that that Karen Gillan gave in those moments, that pure rage at this woman for stealing her baby, for doing everything she had been doing this entire season, just unleashed in those words and that look right at her as she basically sentences Madame Kavarian to die by torture from that malfunctioning eye patch. It was just, it was brutal and amazing and in a strange way sexy. I mean, I gotta be honest, but yeah, that was just, it was a great line and an absolutely amazing moment. As for my overall thoughts on the episode, it definitely had some strong highs. It had some, while I didn't list many annoyances, some pretty strong lows, just that kind of took you out of the episode overall, or took me out of the episode overall. But overall, I would have to say it's above average. It's, I would say it's definitely not one of the strongest finales to a season by far, but it definitely had a lot of good elements that made it overall pretty solid, I have to say. As far as the negatives go, they definitely stand out there. I'm sure other people could come up with more. And one of which could be River's song, but again, I'm holding that off for the season recap, just to sort of kind of go over my thoughts overall on that. But yeah, overall, I have to say it's pretty solid, pretty well above average episode. Yeah. All right, and moving on. Well, basically from here, there's two directions I can go. I don't know why I'm holding up one finger on two hands. Basically, from this point, given that I had to delay this episode by a day, my question is going to be this. My question of the episode is this. Should I do the Season 6 wrap-up or the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe next? I am going to do my absolute best to get whichever one up on Saturday. It'll be tight, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. But I need to know from you all. I want you all to comment, let me know which of the two you would like me to do. Do you want me to go ahead and do the Season 6 wrap-up and then move on to the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, or include the Christmas special Doctor, Widow, and the Wardrobe first, and then the Season 6 wrap-up? Just let me know what you all want to see, and I will have that up on Saturday, fingers crossed. But yeah, everyone, I know for a finale episode, this one might be a little bit underwhelming. It's definitely not very short in length, but as far as an overall episode goes, I have a feeling this one might be a little bit underwhelming, but yeah, it's, I'm so tongue-tied. Basically, you know, I enjoyed the episode. I hope you all did too. But as always, please let me know your thoughts on it down below. Your favorite quotes, your favorite song, parts about the episode that annoyed you, and that were some of your favorites. I just, you know, let me know what you think, as you all do every episode. It's been really interesting to see the way that the community has, see the way their opinions have evolved, or like seemingly even changed over time. Some people have mentioned that we've watched that they've watched certain episodes of Discovering Doctor Who, and they would rewatch the episode that I did, and they would actually enjoy it more than they did in the past. They might have not liked it before. Some people have even mentioned not liking an episode now, even though they did in the past. It's just been really interesting, and I love to hear your all's thoughts on the episodes as this goes along. And I'm going to end it there because I'm just starting to ramble. Everyone, thank you very much for, you know, sticking with me here through 69 episodes of Discovering Doctor Who. There's still quite a few more to go, and let's get right into it. Especially, you know, trying to figure out which of the two I should do. Season recap or Christmas episode. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. Everyone, I will see you next time on the next Discovering Doctor Who. Alonzi! I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm sorry.